Sustainability is a broad term that conjures up a lot of meanings in today's society. At universities, faculty leadership is the main driver for how successfully a campus integrates sustainability practices into their curriculum and campus activities. Dr. Tara Scully is the new program director for George Washington University's Sustainability minor. I sat down to talk with her about her new position and what sustainability means to her.
It sounds like students are an important part, almost like a family. They're super important to you. You run a service learning class. Can you talk about that a little bit? Like, what is your service learning class?
So my service learning class I developed because of student feedback, mainly that they hated labs. Not all of them. So I broke up my very large lecture that was about 300 students into two courses. One that stayed the regular 200 students that did lab and lecture, and then I developed this service learning course to get students out in the community to understand what these issues are that we're teaching them and interact with real people about those issues. So the first one I developed was the biology of nutrition and health. I converted that to food, nutrition, and service, and they go out and they do projects related to mainly around food issues and food security issues around GW and around DC. So it's important to me because when I grew up, I wasn't extremely wealthy, and I got free milk and free cheese from the government. Government cheese was great. It melted really well. So having that assistance as a kid was very important to me, and then I went to college because of federal loans, and seeing that these community programs exist and trying to make sure that these nonprofits that are really trying very hard to help our community members was important for me to give back because people had given so much to me.
Dr. Scully has worked on many projects with her students, such as a university composting project, coordinating with the university greenhouse to repopulate the Chesapeake Bay with native grass species, as well as studying the effects of herbicides on oysters in the bay.
You work with a group called the ARC.
Mm-hmm.
Can you explain what that is? Like what?
So
what
the
is
ARC.
That? Yes.
THEARC. So it's a beautiful complex, and they wanted to establish an outdoor classroom for the Washington School for Girls. And we decided that we would partner with the developer as he was building out the complex and help with doing a stormwater garden where we can educate the students about what the plants are, where they're typically found. So almost all of them are native. I think we have one that's a non-native, but it's a stormwater plant, so it still helps with absorbing the water. They have constant flooding issues, so this is very important. And they have this amazing stream in the back of the property. And initially what we did was we went and we just did cleanups with the girls and the community members who wanted to come out. And the girls had so much fun. We had waiters for them. They run into the stream, screaming about every little thing that they see. They saw a snake, and I thought they were running away from the snake, but they were running at the snake. So it was such an enlightening moment for both me and my students because they were able to see what these kids were missing, even though it was right in their backyard. And they were missing it because it was extremely dirty. And so over the course of the past year, we've done a great job in cleaning it up, and it looks much, much better. But with every storm, there's all this trash that comes into the stream. And a couple of my students had mentioned, like, why do they do this? It's such a beautiful place. Like, why would they throw their trash in here? And I had to remind them that this may not be the trash that they're throwing in. It may be carried away from, 5 miles away down the storm drains and dumped into here. And it kind of hit them. They're like, oh, yeah, that's right.
And so how does your work in biology, your extensive work in biology, relate to sustainability?
So a few things came up when I started teaching the nutrition and health course. There were a lot of students who were interested in issues like food deserts, and then that dives right into social equity issues related to sustainability, but also food sourcing related to GMOs and GMO productions, and then issues globally related to food production. So it was like a snowball effect where everything that I was doing, I didn't have any clue was directly related to sustainability, but not in your typical way. Like, of course, I knew that the environmental issues were related to sustainability, but it really opened my eyes to more of the economic issues and social equity and justice issues that I hadn't really acknowledged as being part of sustainability because I was so biology focused. But I'm happy to have seen those connections and help students see those connections too.
Do you think the university is doing enough to be sustainable, to help the environment right now?
I think they are. They are making great strides. I've been working with the Sustainable Grounds crew where they're going out and specifically planting native species, again, stormwater species. They've gotten advice from sustainable landscapers, and I think that that's something that they didn't have to do, and they chose to do that, so that shows their commitment on that front. And there are certain areas where we're not doing so well and certain areas where we're doing really well.
Where do you see sustainability at this university, like outside the program?
Making sure that the connections that should exist do exist so that students see how sustainability is far-reaching, that it's not, and that's one reason why sustainability is not housed under a certain college. It's under the provost, and that's very specific and has been renewed by the current president, that he doesn't have any vision of changing that because sustainability should not be owned by anyone.